In Slavic folklore, she's the wild witch of the woods, a creature of paradox, sometimes monstrous, sometimes wise. In Dungeons and Dragons, she transcends simple definition, neither god nor demon, neither fey nor mortal. Baba Yaga is a primordial force of magic, chaos, and forgotten power. She's been part of D&D for nearly 50 years, but her roots stretch much, much deeper, back to ancient oral traditions whispered in firelight deep in the forests of Eastern Europe. This is Baba Yaga. In the mythic imagination of the Slavic peoples, Baba Yaga is among the most iconic and enduring characters. Her name is both familiar and fearsome. Baba is the diminutive word for grandmother or old woman, while Yaga likely derives from ancient roots linked to horror, illness, or serpents, though scholars still debate the etymology. Her appearance is almost universally agreed upon in folktales: a bent, gnarled old crone with iron teeth, a hooked nose, and fingernails like talons. She lives not in a castle or a cave, but in a hut that stands on giant chicken legs, often perched on the edge of a forest clearing or spinning slowly as it waits for visitors brave or foolish enough to approach. When she travels, she does so in a flying mortar, pushing herself along with a pestle and sweeping away her tracks with a besom broom. These domestic tools, twisted into symbols of arcane power, mark her as a figure straddling the threshold between the everyday and the magical, the familiar and the terrifying. She is not wholly evil. In many folktales, Baba Yaga is a gatekeeper figure, someone who challenges heroes, tests their manners, cleverness, or resolve. In some stories, she aids them, giving magical items or knowledge in exchange for respect or service. In others, she's a predator, devouring those who trespass or fail her impossible tests. Her role is fluid, and her morality alien. She serves no cause but her own. She may live alone, or she may have sisters who are also called Baba Yaga, a nod to the triple goddess archetype found throughout Indo-European mythology: maiden, mother, and crone. Sometimes all three aspects are contained within her alone. Through centuries of storytelling, she has remained an archetype of untamed feminine power, older than civilization, wiser than kings, and feared by all who enter her woods. Baba Yaga made her debut in the early years of Dungeons and Dragons, appearing by name in 1976 Eldritch Wizardry, a supplement that introduced demons, psionics, and some of the game's earliest planar concepts. But it was in 1984, with the publication of The Dancing Hut of Baba Yaga, that she became a fully realized entity within the game. This adventure and its expanded 1995 re-release presented Baba Yaga as one of the most powerful magic users in the multiverse. She was not a demon, archfey, lich, or god. She was Baba Yaga, an entirely separate class of being. Her magic could bend time and space. Her hut could traverse the planes. Her will could shape reality. In the lore, Baba Yaga is described as standing roughly 5 feet tall with a wizened skeleton frame, sallow skin, and wispy white hair. She bears iron claws and teeth, a nod to her folkloric roots, but also a potent symbol in D&D. Traditionally, iron is harmful to fey creatures. That Baba Yaga is made partially of iron suggests one of two things. Either she is immune to fey vulnerabilities, or she stands apart from the fey entirely, a force outside their domain. In some depictions, she has no legs, having traded or lost them in some ancient bargain. In these tellings, she sits perpetually in her mortar, levitating and steering with her pestle, hovering just above the ground. Her form shifts as needed: crone, spirit, or unknowable presence. She is typically presented with a neutral alignment, and her motivations remain obscure. She is not a monster to be slain, nor a savior to be trusted. She is an agent of change, a keeper of secret knowledge, and a living contradiction. Throughout D&D's evolving lore, Baba Yaga is credited with shaping some of the most significant characters in the game's history. Chief among them is Tasha, also known as Igwilv. In her earliest appearances, Igwilv was a demonologist and villain from the Greyhawk setting, best known for authoring the Demonomicon. Later lore, especially in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, reintroduces her as a morally complex wizard whose vast arcane power stems from an early life spent under Baba Yaga's tutelage. Tasha refers to Baba Yaga as her mother, though whether this is literal or symbolic remains ambiguous. What is clear is that Baba Yaga raised her, named her Natasha, taught her the deepest forms of magic, and instilled in her both cunning and independence. The relationship, as with all things tied to Baba Yaga, is layered with both affection and threat. Another of Baba Yaga's so-called children is Kostochki, a frost giant whose unquenchable rage led him to demonhood. According to multiple sources, including Fiendish Codex 1, Hordes of the Abyss, and the Demonomicon, Baba Yaga cursed him with immortality and hideous transformation, twisting him into a demon lord. In some tellings, she did this as a punishment, in others, as part of a greater plan. While her direct influence is mostly focused on these two, Baba Yaga's impact reaches further. In Wild Beyond the Witchlight, players encounter the Hourglass Coven, a trio of powerful hags with dominion over time, fate, and storytelling, really. Though Baba Yaga is not mentioned by name, the coven reflects her mythic essence. Each hag embodies an aspect of the classic Crone. Skabatha Nightshade, who kidnaps children and erases their memories. Bavlorna Blightstraw deals in potions, secrets, and is disgusting. Endlin Moongrave, who sees the future and despises happy endings. Many players and DMs interpret these three as spiritual or literal daughters of Baba Yaga, continuing her legacy of bargains, riddles, and cruelty cloaked in whimsy. The parallels are unmistakable. The wandering hut, the twisted gifts, the overwhelming sense that reality bends around their will. If there is one symbol that defines Baba Yaga across all media, it is her dancing hut. In both folklore and Dungeons & Dragons, the hut stands on massive chicken legs, capable of spinning, stomping, and walking across the world, or between worlds. In the 1984 module, the hut is a planar vessel. Its interior houses rooms of impossible geometry, shifting chambers, and portals to other dimensions. From the outside, it may look like a simple wooden shack, but within it's a magical labyrinth, capable of reshaping itself based on Baba Yaga's whims. It contains magical libraries, treasure vaults, prison cells, arcane laboratories, and even other entire worlds. Its door appears only when the correct phrase is spoken. Its legs can crush enemies. It can defend itself, and it can vanish without warning. The hut is often treated as a living extension of Baba Yaga herself, sentient, bound to her will, and possibly even immortal itself. Some accounts claim it can lay eggs, from which strange creatures hatch. Others say she crafted it from an ancient pact with forgotten powers, or constructed it from the bones of a dying god. Whatever its origin, the dancing hut is not merely her home. It is her tool, her fortress, and in some sense, her avatar. Baba Yaga's first dedicated module, the Dancing Hut of Baba Yaga in 1984, established her home as a cross-planar dungeon, filled with deadly traps, ancient artifacts, and rooms that defied natural laws. But it was the 1995 version for AD&D 2nd Edition that more fully defined her as a multiversal power. That expanded version gave her the ability to travel freely between planes, alter reality within her hut, and interact with historical and mythical figures from across the multiverse. The adventure itself involved multiple layers of time and space, requiring players to traverse not just the hut, but worlds locked within it. While many legendary characters in D&D fade with time, Baba Yaga continues to appear, sometimes directly, often indirectly. In Dragon Magazine number 83, She was given a set of unique magical items and powers. In Dragon 196, she was named as the progenitor of the legacy of powerful witches and demonologists. In Fiendish Codex 1, in 3.5 edition, Baba Yaga is acknowledged in the origin of the demon lord Kostochki, most likely his mother, solidifying her ability to shape the destiny of extraplanar entities, and I always have trouble saying his name. In Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, she is described as Tasha's mother and mentor, and is credited with forming the foundation of Tasha's magical worldview, a worldview rooted in chaos, subversion, and power earned through cunning. In every edition, her alignment remains ambiguous, and her goals unknowable. She is not bound to any specific plane, faction, or pantheon. She is Baba Yaga, and that is reason enough. Few beings in D&D possess as deep an understanding of planar travel and cosmic magic as Baba Yaga. Her hut, often treated as a character in its own right, can shift planes at will, serving as a kind of interdimensional fortress or even a mobile demiplane. In official sources, the hut has been shown to contain rooms that link to the Nine Hells, the Abyss, the Feywild, the Ethereal Plane, prime material worlds from across settings, including Greyhawk, Mystara, and even unnamed realms from Deep Lore. In 1995, the module suggests that the hut is powered by ancient magic that predates known spell-casting traditions. It possesses its own intelligence and can defend itself without her input. Some speculate that she did not build it, but tamed it, or perhaps bargained with a power beyond comprehension to bind it to her will. Baba Yaga's command over this hut allows her to bypass the normal rules of the cosmology. She needs no portal, no spelljammer, no god's permission. She simply goes where she wills. This puts her in rare company among the likes of Vecna, Mistress, or the Lady of Pain in terms of raw influence over the fabric of the multiverse. In both Slavic folklore and D&D, Baba Yaga functions as a threshold figure, a guardian of transitions. She is the one who tests heroes, asking riddles or issuing impossible tasks. She offers wisdom, but only to those who understand the price of knowledge. She is never fully a villain nor ally. Her presence is an omen of change, whether for good or ill. In D&D's multiversal structure, she often represents liminality, the boundary between worlds, between law and chaos, between the known and the forgotten. She is linked to time, particularly in her relationships with characters like Endlin Moongrave, a hag of the Hourglass Coven, who attempts to control fate itself. While Baba Yaga is not directly cited as a mother of Endlin or the other hags in the wild beyond the Witchlight, their behavior, powers, and symbolism evoke her teachings. Some interpretations, especially among scholars of planar lore in-world, suggest that the Hourglass Coven may be reflections of Baba Yaga's essence, maybe former apprentices giving fragments of her power, or of the literal daughters or splinters of her own soul. Each member of that coven captures a facet of Baba Yaga's identity: dark whimsy, cruel insight, and the terrifying burden of foresight. In that way, her myth persists, even when her name is not spoken. Baba Yaga's influence is not defined by kingdoms ruled or wars fought, but by the stories left behind. In folklore, she is the crone at the edge of the forest, older than the village, feared by the children, whispered about in every home. In D&D, she is the witch beyond the stars, the one who gave birth to demon lords, tutored archmages, and who moves between planes as easily as walking through a doorway. She has shaped the multiverse by shaping people. She gave Tasha the knowledge that would lead her to demons and devils alike. She cursed her son with immortality and madness. She left her behind a tradition of hags, witches, and warlocks who looked to her as patron, matron, or origin. And always the hut dances through space, through stories, through time. Baba Yaga is never bound to one shape, one era, or one plane. In a multiverse defined by order, By charts, alignments, and cosmic laws, she is the exception. She is the unknowable, the unwanted, the witch who does not kneel. And that, perhaps, is the truest magic of all. In every world she walks, Baba Yaga leaves a shadow. Not always a trail of fire or ruin, sometimes just a whisper, a bargain made and forgotten, a secret past in the dark. She is not a conqueror, she is not a god. She does not want worship, only to be remembered, and she is. From her roots in Slavic folktales, where she waits at the edge of the forest in her chicken-legged hut, to the far reaches of the Dungeons and Dragons multiverse, Baba Yaga remains one of the few figures who stands outside the system. She has no domain, no portfolio, no chain of command. She answers to no pantheon. Her power is older than divine right, born from story, firelight, and fear. The tales say she is a teacher, a tormentor, a trickster. She is the mother of Tasha, the shaper of demon lords, the wanderer who blurs the borders of the plains. And her lessons, if they are lessons, are never simple. Thanks for watching. If this video stirred your imagination, leave a comment with how you've seen Baba Yaga appear in your worlds, or how you might use her from going forward. And if you want to explore more legends, lore, or long forgotten figures from the world of Dungeons & Dragons, make sure to subscribe. Until next time, watch the skies, mind your bargains, and be wary of gifts from strangers. This is James from the Dungeon Puffin. Later, guys.